you everybody for, showing up, even the people who are here physically, as well as those who are watching online. We have a presentation today by Keisha. I can say your first name correctly, but I don't trust myself to say your hyphenated last name.
Second part.
Yeah.
That's all good. Hey, I'm Keisha Gilchrist-Broomes. It's good to meet you guys. I'm a writer for novelist since 2017. I'm an independent novelist, hopefully soon to be hybrid. And I just wanted to go over 10 steps to being showing up great.
Yeah.
Professional author. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So I'm really interested in what you have to say. And again, we're live on Facebook. So you kind of already introduced yourself. And I don't know if anybody wants to introduce themselves before we get started. If you want to do that, let me know. If not, we can go ahead and Keisha can just jump right in.
Okay.
Okay, everybody's muted and they're staying that way. So let's just get going. So thank you again for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I'm really looking forward to what you have to say because, we can always learn more, especially when it comes to, being an author, because writing is one thing. And this is something that I've learned even from being an author, because that's what my passion is. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to really putting yourself out there, marketing and all that, it's a totally different wheelhouse. And sometimes I know even for me, it's kind of frustrating as a writer because you feel like the writing is what you like to do.
Everybody wants to do that.
Yeah. But you have to add all this other stuff if you really want to sell your writing. So if you want to jump right in, I'm all ears.
Sure. Is it okay for me to share screen because I have a presentation?
Absolutely. Let me get you the option there. So you should be able to do it now. Let me know if you can't.
Okay. You can tell me if it shows up. All right.
Okay. All right.
Can you see
your shared screen?
Yeah. Or do I have to, hold on?
I don't see any screen right now. The option for you to share it, you can use that. So that's available. I just can't see the screen yet. Let me try.
Okay, I think it's, give me 1 second.
No problem.
All right, I think we're ready. And click and share.
There you go. I can see it.
All right. Now we're in business. Okay, everybody, we can dive right in. Thanks, Deborah. I see the thumbs up. That's awesome. So yeah, I have a presentation that I put together. I have a tendency, I would say, to go very, very fast. So if anybody has questions, I would like me to elaborate on anything else, just, jot a note down for what you want to go into. Because I know doing author platform type stuff or presentation type stuff, there may be stuff where you want the how, not just the what, but the how for anything like that. Like I said, I may be flying a little because there's a lot of material. So just note it to yourself. When we get to the end, go ahead and get that question. I'll try to get into the how. All right. Everybody good?
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Let's get to it. So this is 10 steps to showing a fabulous professional Black author. A little bit about me. My name is Keisha. I like to write. And I've been working as a freelance writer, technical writer, a whole bunch of stuff since the 1990s. But I also am a novelist. I'm born again Christian. I write faith-based women's fiction as KL Gilchrist. So sometimes you'll see Keisha and KL, but for the purposes of this, since I'm teaching, then Keisha is good. All right. My story is that when I went into the author world, I just had a book, and that was it. I self-published in 2017, and I spent 100% of my time working on the book and putting out, putting everything, distributing it. But I didn't spend any time thinking about my platform or even my intended audience. And I didn't really think of myself as an author. So number one thing that I learned, and I actually learned this at the Writers Digest conference is the one thing that you have to do, because it's going to help you drive all of your decisions, is decide if you are an author or if you're a hobbyist, because people who are want to have you on podcasts, people who want to have you in the media and things like that, will look at you by how you determine yourself. People take you seriously when you take yourself seriously as an author. So decide right now, are you that author, or are you just somebody who has a 1 book or 2 book and you're not going to go any further? If you're an author, there's a bunch of things that you have to kind of do to show up. And I will, okay, it's not doing it automated. Here it is, okay. Step number 1 is setting yourself up as a business. I know that we have on this line, like traditionally published authors, independent and hybrid. I'm going to go into things speaking probably about 50% of the time as an independent or as a hybrid. So there are going to be quite a few of these things that you may not have to do if you're traditional, but if you're going out there presenting yourself for the first time and you're independent or hybrid, one of the first things you have to do is make sure you're set up as a business. You will need a limited liability corporation, or establishing essentially your publishing press to protect your author assets, essentially. Now, everybody lives in a different state, so I'm not going to go into how to get one, step by step, because every state is different. So if you haven't done it and you want to do it, you'll have to Google the LLC requirements for your state. You need a business bank account, because it's very important that you do not mingle any of your author or marketing funds into your personal account or to your family's account. You'll need an accounting system to keep track of all of your receipts and expenditures. It can be a simple Excel spreadsheet, or it could be QuickBooks. The number one reason to do this is if you created that business bank account, you'll need to track all your assets, your book costs, your associated travel. And the reason you want to do that is because every year you want to make sure you're taking tax deductions on what you did for your authoring business. You're going to need a professional email address, and it should be something like your author name @gmail.com, or bonus points if you create a website and make your email like author@authorname.com. You should never use a Hotmail, an AOL, or a Yahoo address. Never use nicknames or any other name, or a joint account. Like some people have accounts where it's Mr. and Mrs. and they use that. You can have that for email for other things, but not for your professional author business. It should always be your author name and then a professional email.com at the end. Here's another optional step. That very last button there is for professional name or pen name. You might want to designate a professional pen name if it's worthwhile to you. If you wear several professional hats, for biggest example of it I have of this is the author and speaker and coach Joanna Penn. She goes out publicly as Joanna Penn when she goes to conferences, but all of her fiction books are written as JF Penn. So you might want to think about having a professional name if you juggle a couple of hats in the professional arena. Step number 2, present yourself professionally. You always want to have on hand, because actually people will ask for it when you start sending out, or when people ask you to speak and things like that. You want to have your professional headshot. It has to accompany your media kit, your email, and any of your author communications. Your headshot is like a logo for your personal brand, and you want to keep it simple. You do not need to hire an expensive photographer for your author photo. You do need to get your hair done. You do need to have basic makeup done. You wear a clean shirt, and you can actually get headshots done at like places like JCPenney or like Picture People, and it's not very expensive at all. One of the coolest tricks I've seen recently is that Airbnb has this thing called Airbnb Experiences. So if you want a headshot and you want to have it done, let's say underneath the Brooklyn Bridge or something like that, you can pay like $75 and have somebody take that picture for you. And you want to have a headshot that you use for like 2 or 3 years before you get new ones done. A couple of do's and don'ts for that. Do not ever use a glamour shot style photo as your author photo. You want to look professional. Don't use cell phone pictures or selfies or other pictures other people have taken of you. And don't be overly made up. There's a difference between model or wedding makeup and the look an author should have. If you want to do large sweeping eyelashes or glittery blush or really avant-garde outfits, that's really only appropriate if you're like a beauty or a fashion author, or you were a beauty blogger and then you became an author. If you're doing any sort of like serious nonfiction, female empowerment or fiction writing, you'd want to have a less made up photos. And you always want to have lighting in studio, or like I said, on location from a professional photographer so it can see your face. You actually want to have 2 professional bios, and you want to have them written in the third person. One short version that can accompany any short web article or blog post about yourself, and one long version. That's the version that should be on your website. And it's also the version that can be in your media kit, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Your first sentence of your bios should always introduce who you are and what you write. Your second sentence is always what in the world qualifies you to write. The third sentence is telling who you are, what you care about, and where you write. The long version just expounds on all that stuff I just said. The third bullet, you want to have a hosted website, not a free one. Wix and Weebly and WordPress all have free versions, but your professional approach is for you to have a hosted version of your site that you paid for. It's whatever your author name is .com, or it could be your author name and rights.com, or it could be something that identifies your author brand.com, but it should never be like a your name.wix.com. People are looking for you to have made an investment in your platform. And that is the number one way. When you've built a house, which is your website, and it's all your own, that identifies you as showing up professionally. That last bullet is published wide. And again, this is a tip that is mostly for independent and hybrid authors. If you want to be taken seriously as an author, you want to make sure that you go beyond just having a book that's out on Amazon. You want to have ISBN numbers for all of your books. And you want to have an ISBN number for actually each version of your book, and make sure that your book is available beyond an initial 90-day run on Amazon Kindle. You have to make sure that your book is available everywhere. If Amazon explodes, people should be able to still order your book. As a matter of fact, if Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.com all have a simultaneous shutdown, people should still be able to get your book from somewhere. There are 2 really popular ways to publish wide. The main way is by distributing your book through Ingram Spark. And another way, especially for ebooks, but there's a print version now, is to go through Draft to Digital. Anytime someone Googles your name and your book, they should see you show up in a long list of places that sell that book. That goes a long way toward presenting you that, oh, you're serious about what you do as an author. Number 3 is to build your platform well. Your basic website plus your social media is like your virtual place that presents who you are to the world. It's your job as an author to make sure people know that you're an author, that they understand what you write and exactly who it's meant for, and how to get in contact with you. Always be contactable at all times, and make it in multiple places. You should have a way to get through to your website, but you should also have through Facebook, through Twitter, through Instagram. Anyone who wants to get in contact with you as an author should be able to make it to you. But your website is your author home, and it should hold all of your links to your books so people can order them easily. It should have some marketing, maybe a link to your marketing, to your media kit, several different photos, not just your headshot that I mentioned, but also your long bio. And own that, you nurture it, you make sure it has the colors for your brand. I'm going to go into that. And I just talked about avoiding digital share copying. Digital share copying is when you have all of your author materials inside of only free platforms. So all of your links are only on Wix, or all of your links are only in Facebook. You want to avoid that. You have to have your website. The 5 essential pages are your homepage, your books page, your speaking or events or media page, and that can vary depending on what you write, your contact page, and your about page. You want to resist there. Some people blog. If you're a speaker and you blog, that's wonderful, and you can have that on there as well. But lately, blogging has gone into like a whole dimension with the medium.com platform. So I always give this advice that if you really want to have people see your blog, that you blog on Medium, so you have a worldwide platform to see you. So it's just a tip there, that if you've been blogging on your own and you haven't been getting many people, start a profile on medium.com and start blogging there so people see you show up as an author there. Beyond the website, you want to show your author brand. And I'm going to give it to you in one simple statement. Your author brand is what you write, plus who you are, plus who you're selling to. So if you write, let's say, like dystopian young adult fiction, your branding should reflect that. If you write sweet romance, your branding should reflect that. Your plan for your website and your book covers to always show who you are. And if you're really unsure about this, take a moment, take some money, invest in a branding expert, just to give you even just to give you high level of how you can use the right colors and the right themes to highlight who you're coming across as an author. The third bullet is use the rule of 3 for social media. You need to show up regularly on socials. That's a given, but only show up regularly for the 3 socials you're going to interact with regularly. On those platforms, you need to post something every week. For the platform with your highest interaction, you might want to check in on it daily. And honestly, let yourself off the hook. Don't stress about it on the other platforms. If you don't know how to use TikTok or you're uncomfortable with it, don't worry about it. Experience has shown me that the most interactive audience shows up for me personally on Facebook. And Facebook is the channel where I'm most comfortable. But I have 2 other, Twitter and Instagram. The other ones, I have profiles there, but I don't show up there regularly, and I'll talk about that. You want to use your online presence to interact, not to sell. That's a big one. It's tempting to post your books all the time, but eventually that's going to irritate the audience that you're trying to build. You want to try for an 80-20 ratio. 80% of the time, you're hanging out on social media, just kicking it, doing what you do, motivating, entertaining, providing information. And 20% of the time, you want to mention your books or your speaking platform. The last bullet, and I just recently learned this, and it has actually been a big help for marketing. You want to support other authors and influencers, but you want to support the ones who are most similar to what you write. By doing that, when you're in the online world, people will begin to see you and associate you in their circle. They'll see your author name showing up on their posts. So you don't have to be like the person who's bugging them, putting stuff inside of their posts all the time. But when you show up for the places where they're asking for interaction, the people who buy their stuff will see your name. They'll learn that you're an author. They will start to look at your stuff. This actually works. You will get sales from people who buy their books. And then here's a bonus point. Amazon will begin to promote your books alongside theirs for free. So you want to have that interaction with the other authors, but you just want to comment, you want to hang out, you want other people to see that you're an author as well, right along with them. They'll buy your books go alongside theirs. Easy. And now you've just shown up. You've shown up along the likes of the more famous authors or people who are just more popular in your genre. Number 4, and this is a brief one, real brief. Claim your online space. I mean, claim all of it. establish your author profile everywhere where authors are. But here's the tip. You don't necessarily have to do a lot on those platforms. You just need to have your author profile there. Maybe you check in once in a while, but what it does is it gives you additional marketing online real estate. So you don't have to be big on Twitter, but you should have a profile there. You should have an Instagram, a TikTok, a Quora, Tumblr, Clubhouse. But here's two big ones, BookBub and Goodreads. You need to be up there claiming your books, making sure that you have a profile up there. It's another place where people will look for you. So I would say out of the whole list that I gave you, the top three where you might not have profiles that you should have profiles on would probably be BookBub, Goodreads, and Tumblr. Because a lot of people by now have like Instagram and Twitter. When you create your profile, you want to add your professional headshot. You want to add your website link. Because if anybody's hanging out there kicking it and they want to know what you're up to, even if you don't necessarily hang out there, you want them to be able to link to where you are, and your home is always your website. I should just pause for a second because I'm going through stuff really, really fast. Everybody good?
Yeah, I mean, really, really good information. It's like, wow. You have went above my expectations already, and you're not even done. So
I know I'm flying, but again, anything that's interesting, I could go into the how at the end, but I just want to make sure I do touch the material, and then we can go into deeper stuff at the end and get through the how of it. All right.
Okay. So I mean, I do have my notes here, and I would advise anybody else who's watching, make sure you're taking notes. You can come back and watch this video in this group anytime. I am going to be taking a little bit of a break from the group, but the group, you will still be able to see all the content in the group and things like that. So I know this is one that I'm definitely going to have to go back again, but I am taking notes. I do have a quick question, but if you'd rather for me to wait till the end, I can.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to get through it so that
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I have it. Yeah.
A long time to go through stuff.
Yeah.
So we are on number 5, making your product shine. Okay, so I flew through numbers 1 through 4, and they were mostly focused on you, how to set yourself up, so you have your business and you're looking good. The next few points are going to focus on your product. And this goes for anyone, whether you're a traditional or hybrid. It really is your job to make sure you have artistically designed covers, quality printing inside. No matter what you do, even if you're published by somebody else, you cannot blame the publisher. Whenever a publisher makes you an offer, you do have time to review the publisher's other books and gain an understanding of how your product is going to be treated. If their book covers look like something a 10th grader made in Canva, it's your call to decide whether or not you want to sign over the rights to your book. If you're on a budget, the temptation is high, y'all, to do everything yourself. But in the end, you always want to make sure your book reading experience is a good one. So you do want to hire other people to help you create the best product. Here's my top 4 tips for delivering the most professional book product. Number 1 is you want to strive to make your book look like it belongs with the others that are like it. If you're a speaker and you talk about empowerment for women, you want to check out covers of books by people like Marshawn Evans Daniels or Iyanla Vanzant. And you want to look at what you're thinking of for a book. And does your book look like it would belong next to theirs on the shelf? If it doesn't, you might want to order a new cover and reissue your book. The easiest way to make sure you don't make a faux pas with your cover is to research the number 1 book in your subject matter or in your genre, and simply ask your cover designer for something similar. It doesn't have to be exactly that, just something that makes it look like, this person is next to them, so there's somebody I want to read too. When you're writing your chapters, use Pro Writing Aid. This is a real easy step. Pro Writing Aid has a free version and they have a pro version. If you use it, they will tell you when your writing is stilted, when your grammar is bad, when your comma use is horrible. If you use it while you're writing, you clean up a lot of mistakes. There's really no excuse now. because of pro writing. And the Hemingway app is another really good one. While you are in those chapters writing, use it to clean up a bunch of stuff before you even send your stuff to an author, to a editor, or before you even send your stuff to a publishing house. Just use it just to clear up all of the stuff that you might not have seen while you were writing. For my indies and my hybrids, do hire professional editors and interior designers. Editing, it should be the most expensive part of your budget, but professional services like Reedsy, I'm a big advocate of Reedsy.com. It can help you locate a reputable editor. It's not going to break your bank. And when it comes to interior design, unless you have software like Vellum, don't do it on your own. Use services like Upwork.com or Fiverr.com, and just look at who has recommendations. Use those folks. Again, it's keeping everything in the economy. I love personally using female cover designers, Latino and Black cover designers, because I like to kind of keep, if people are going to buy my books, I like to keep an economy going where I get them to do my covers. They mention my book as one of their links, and it kind of all keeps things going in a really creative economy. So that's another reason not to do everything by yourself. People, have talents, let them use them. The very last thing is focus on your reader's needs. And this is a big one, because even if you're telling your personal story, you want to make your title, your cover, and your back cover copy focus on what is going to help that reader. What problem is it going to solve? How is it going to help them in the world? For nonfiction, it's always a plus. Highlight how your book is going to get your reader from point A to point B. If they're distraught, you want to get them to peace. If they're working through problems, you want to get them through the end of that problem. For fiction, it's a little different. Your copy should always capture the most dramatic parts of your story. The part of the story that's going to get people to really invest in that entertainment, because that's really what fiction is. You're doing all that. You got that cover, you got the internal piece, you've worked on the internal piece on a pro writing aid, so it doesn't have a bunch of bad stuff in it. You're going to present well. Your book is going to show up with everybody else's, and they're going to say, hey, who is this person? I should know who that is, because wait, I saw them post on so-and-so, and then they got this book over here. See, it all works together. It all works together. It's an economy. You want to create your marketing materials, but not just like social media posts and not just mock-ups. I know everybody's familiar with those. You want to have the pieces that make it easy to get podcast bookings, get panel discussion bookings, and things like that. Bookstore, events and book conferences. You want to always have what they call a one sheet, and that highlights the critical information about your book. It always has a really nice picture of your book. You can do a quick mock-up of it, and I can name some places escaping me right now, some places where you can do some great mock-ups of your book. But you want to have that picture, and you want to have a long book description. But the two most crucial pieces you want to have on that one sheet is where to order that book. If the book is being ordered by an organization or a library or a bookstore, where to order it from. Like if you're on Ingram, super cool, just put the ISBN numbers of the books in there and say order from Ingram. They're going to do that. And you want to have your author contact information. This goes back to that, have a professional website, have a professional email, because that information needs to be at the bottom of your one sheet. Your media kit goes beyond your one sheet. It's going to highlight not just one book, but all your books. If you have a catalog, it all goes on there. You want to highlight your background in your media kit. What led you to write? What story do you have? So it focuses a little bit more on who you are. But here's the big piece. You want that media kit to talk about the type of subjects you'd be willing to speak on if you were ever contacted for a discussion or a podcast. So for me, it'd be like this type of stuff. Talk about the type of things that I would talk about would be author success, book success, but I'm also a mom. I talk about mothering. I've lost a child. So I would talk about the death of my daughter, being trying to get through grief and still be an author. All kinds of other things. I'm also I do line dance as a hobby. I'd be willing to talk about that. Anything that's personal to you as an author that you can talk about in depth needs to be as a bullet point inside of that media kit. And you have your media kit available. It could be a link off of your website, or it could also be just something that you have handy inside of your bag, or if anybody wants to contact you for you to send it to them, or just have it available. Bookmarks and small postcards. These should highlight either one product or a couple of products that you have. The front piece should be just a really nice, artwork about reading or picking up books. And the back should highlight your product. And at the very bottom, again, I'm going to go back to this constantly, has your website right there. It has maybe even your email on there. But if you don't have the real estate on there to put that, then just your website is fine. What you write, if you have a tagline, that should go on there too. That's stuff that you should just always have available in your office, in your book bag. The book bag meaning the bag that you use that carries your books when you go and you sell them. You should always have some of this inside of there at all times. Join a professional organization. Not a lot of people talk about this, but this is another way that distinguishes you as a professional author or speaker. Nothing says that you're a professional as much as being part of a long established professional org. So it could be Romance Writers America, Mystery Writers of America, Alliance of Independent Authors, National Speakers Organization. Just join something where you can mix it up in a virtual conversation with other professionals. You want to help them out and you want to let them help you. This is where you're going to meet those other authors and speakers. And some of those folks are going to be the very people who are going to be willing to give you feedback on your next book and give you endorsements for your next book. That's where you meet those people. So if you see books and you say, oh, well, gee, how did they get so-and-so to be, inside in the inside flap of their book? And how come they got a quote from this person, how great this book is? 9 times out of 10, they were inside of a professional organization and they met those people through there. And so when they were developing their book, they talked to them and say, listen, would you mind reading a couple chapters of this? Maybe giving me a blurb or put on my back flap, or I could put in the front. They met them in that organization. You want to build those organizational ties with the other authors or the other speakers, so that you can have lend a little credibility to the book that you're putting out. Even if you need to reissue a book after you've joined an organization, it's worthwhile to do so. All right. We are at step 8. All right. Show up great in the room. What's the room? I call it the room. The room is any place where you're going to be with authors and readers or people who've come to hear you talk. So we're talking writers' conferences, book retreats, bookstore events, panel discussions. No matter where you go, you are that author. So what I want you to do is dress stylishly comfortable. You want clothes that's comfortable enough for you to work a room, but not so comfortable that you blend in with the background. A lot of times people associate author with celebrity. That's not always true, but they're going to be looking at you as that. So, you clean up nice enough that they say, oh yeah, that's the author right there. Don't be too comfortable, but be comfortable enough. Like I would say, like I get my heels from places like Aerosols because they have like comfy, little bottom to them. So if I have to stand and shake hands and be cordial, talk with folk, my feet aren't dying at the end of the day. So stylishly comfortable. You always want to bring what I call the bag. It's like mine is on wheels. Even if you don't plan to sell books, even if you're not there for that, you should still bring it. So inside your bag, you want to have your books, of course. You want to have 1 or 2 freebies, and don't be afraid to give one out to an influencer or to for a potential reviewer. Like somebody could be there who maybe they have a newspaper or they have a magazine or they have a something. If they tell you that and they're willing to write you up and feature your book, that free copy of that book goes to them. You want to have pens. You want to have those bookmarks, small cards I talked about with your website on them, flyers. If that's what you want to have, they should also have your product, your website, your email, and your one sheet. You want to keep your one sheet for like your bookstore owners or your library professionals. You want to have that bag ready for sales. So you have small bill change, like ones and fives, maybe like $50 to $100 worth ones, fives. You want to have electronic payment ability. So PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Stripe, whatever works best for you. You want to have a receipt book. Sometimes people are buying your book for their business and they're going to write it off later on. So you always want to have a receipt book. Or if you're ever in the room and after the session is done and you have a table to yourself, you want to include candies, mints, or other like cool stuff on your table. You want to smile. You want to take pictures, and tell stories. Talk about your journey as an author. Talk about your book, especially. And you want to prep for questions. People are going to want to know what you're selling. And you should always, again, I'm going to always go back to this, make it about them. Nonfiction should solve a problem. Fiction should entertain. I'm flying, but I'm seeing things come up on the chat. So I'm going to be ready for questions at the end. We're almost there. We are at number 9, network and follow up. A lot of people don't think about this, but you show up with class whenever you do this. After you've made an appearance or you've been at a bookstore or the library, if you had a conversation or somebody went out of their way to set you up to be there, always send them a thank you. Always send them a thank you letter, an appreciation email, and detail something important that happened. If they set up a table and it was special for you, you highlight that. If they if they cleared the way for you, made things quiet for you so that you could talk about your book, you want to highlight that. Everybody likes being appreciated, and a thank you letter or an email is a must if you were invited to be a part of an event or to be at a bookstore. Here's some bonus points for you. If you met with a bookstore owner, send them afterward a free book or a small gift, like a candle or sachet, something that's just really sweet. They're going to remember you in the future, and they're going to go out of their way to stock your book and keep an ongoing relationship with you. I have a couple of relationships going on right now with independent bookstore owners, basically off of the strength of doing that. Just saying, I appreciated you. You made things helpful for me. Here, I want to give you this gift. Here, I don't have a book coming out right now, but I have these books, and maybe a couple of them pick them up and stock them, and I can see them from the sales. So you want to be that author. You want to be the one who, you don't take this for granted that somebody went out of their way. And it could be like the principal of a school. But if they made it possible for you, you want to be there for them afterward and let them know that they went out of their way for you and you appreciate that. So, and I'm up on the last one, and we're going to get to questions and how do we do things. So the last one's probably one you're not going to think of, but it's the biggest one that I learned. And that's write your next book. As your platform is growing, and especially if you appeared at a speaking engagement or on a podcast, the next biggest book to your platform is totally under your control. And that's writing your next book, because nothing is going to sell your last book like your next book. There isn't anything out there that re-engages your current audience like your next book. And there's absolutely nothing that establishes you more as a professional Black author than growing your catalog. Doesn't matter how long, like I have little short novel, I guess they call them like novella books, but I have big, long books. Everything doesn't have to, if you don't have time to do a 2-year project, what do you have time for? If you are a nonfiction writer, can you do like a 7 steps to I don't know, anything, meeting the man of your dreams, whatever works for you, can you do something short and put that out? Whatever you put out, it's going to grow your audience, is going to grow your book sales. And if people like that small book that you put out, they're going to go back and they're going to get everything else that was in your catalog. Every time I put out a new book, doesn't matter how big it is, I automatically within about 30 to 60 days see an uptick in stuff that was in my old catalog. I mean, going back to like the first book, which put out in 2017, that is your biggest trick. It's like, if you're not sure that your book is selling that well, put out another one and market, put some energy behind that one. And you're going to see your sales start to bump up. Okay. So that was, I flew through that. I know I did, but I'm ready to like come out of this and go to chat and stop sharing and get ready to talk to you guys. That's all I got. That's it.
Yeah, that was totally awesome. Like, man, I mean, that was really good. I mean, even your slides and everything was really good. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
So I want to, and I see Deborah, she's clapping there for you. That was really good.
Thank you. Thanks
yeah, so we can go ahead, and I know you guys have some questions because there was a lot of content there. I have some questions, but I'm going to let you all go first. So who wants to dive in first with their first question?
I do. Hi. Thank you so much, Keisha. I really enjoyed and learned so much from what you shared. And I missed something. I was so busy writing that I missed one thing that you said. And that was with the, oh gosh, I missed it here. Off the brand. I wrote what I write, who I'm writing for, and there was a third one. I missed that.
Hold on. Because even I have to look at my notes because I was flying. Yeah, with the author brands, business success. How am I seeing it? Oh, yeah, platform. Yeah, it's what you write plus who you are plus who you're selling to.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That's the triple threat right there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other questions, Deborah? Okay, go ahead, Angela.
I just want to say thank you so very much. This was so much information, so much good information. As an indie first time author, I appreciate your time. And how do I get a chance to see this again? Because I popped in, I missed the first slide.
Yeah.
Sage is gonna, you can keep it up there, right?
Yeah, it's going to be posted in the group. So I'm sure if you're in this, you got the link, is because you're in the Black Authors Launch support. I forgot the whole name, but you're in that group. So it will always be posted in the group under the features tab for you to watch anytime.
Great. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Fine.
Anybody else have any more questions?
I have a question. When you're doing multiple things and you're niching down into being an author, as far as in building credibility, I'm a life coach and I'm also trying to transition to be a speaker. What's the best way to, I guess, pivot and kind of do it? I understand stay in your lane, focus on one thing, do it well before you move on. I wrote 2 books that are published and I'm working on the 3rd book right now, and I'm in a collaboration, and I don't know how to help my audience transition with me into what I'm actually doing to stay focused, is what I'm saying. Because if I'm doing a lot, which I am narrowing it down, I have been doing a book once a year, every year and a half, I would say, because I give myself time for editing, because it's emotional. I'm talking about divorce. How do I get my audience to understand kind of like my journey as I evolve?
Okay. You start telling them through your platform. Start telling them, if they check in on you, like, where are you? Like, where can I find you? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? Where are you?
I'm mainly on Facebook. I'm trying to transition to Instagram because
Okay.
my subject talks about divorce, and more younger people are looking for guidance, as I
Yeah.
call it.
Uh-huh.
But also to be more specific, a disability in divorce, because
Okay.
I was taken advantage of, and
I'm
long
sorry.
story short, 300,000 gone, mistress there, suicidal, long story. So I have a lot to say, but it's hard for me, for my audience to follow me, because I have a personality disorder, I have a mood disorder, and I dealt with sexual trauma like rape and molestation.
Okay.
So I'm trying to to have my brand voice stick out, but without me being 100%, as they say, vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Because my therapist says, do you really want the people to have an opinion? Because when you voice your story, some people are going to have an opinion, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be nice.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, if you're not ready for that, don't do that yet. Not
That is
saying
good.
don't ever do it, but I'm not ready for that yet.
Okay. Then you only focus on, you do leverage your social media. That's number one, but leverage it only for what you're comfortable for. So if you want to tell them that you want to focus only on like one piece of what you're doing, like you want them to, either you want them to go more toward where you're going to be speaking next, or you want them to go more toward you're focusing on your books and things like that. Start teaching them who you're going to be through your posts, where, you know, where you even if you haven't decided how much you're going to let them in on, let them be your family, and say that, say, I do have a lot going on, this is me, but this is my authentic self, and little by little I'm going to start sharing some things. Here are the books that I have out now, here's what I'm working on, but if I transition to doing something else, I'm going to always let you guys know. Leverage that audience, and just little by little start teaching them where you're going to be and what you want them to look at. Okay.
And I have one last thing. I deleted all the negative people off my posts.
Good, good, good.
But I found out all the negative people were my buyers. I lost 10,000 a month, not dealing with quote unquote negative, because I'm a life coach. So there's going to be problems and suicide and drama and slander and he said, she said, and backstabbing. But I was at a place when I had my miscarriage, for my mental sanity, I couldn't do it. So I went from making 10,000 a month to nobody's writing on my post. And I might get 2 or 3 people per post when I was getting close to 1,000 people per post.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to restructure my brand, and with my different personalities, make different Facebook pages, because I have my edited page or my family friendly page. I have my wild and about page, but it's depending on who I am that day with my mental disability, depends on that. And it also helps my audience understand the difference between what page and what's the content. But at the same time, I'm wondering, is it doing more harm than good? Because when I had it all together, you can't be cussing, as my mama saying, then be holy.
No.
And even though that's my first, it don't mix.
No.
It don't mix. So I'm trying to help my audience follow me, but at the same time, it's a disability. It's not like just me having different perspective, and it's me having different personalities.
Wow.
And I'm trying to be at peace, but I'm trying to at the same time make money.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, what money, I would say this because I learned this too. All money is not good money. It's always better to go, even by cutting the haters, cutting the trolls, it's always better to go toward the positive. Even if sales and posts and stuff take a dip, you'll
No, it's
build.
non-existent. It went from 10,000 to not. I got one of my friends that's on the radio that's bought 3 books. I was selling up to 200, almost 300 books. Now nothing. Like nobody's buying anything. Like period.
Well, how long
And I
ago?
still have to
How long
eat
ago
too.
was your book out?
I had a book out in April of 2020. And then I did some coaching and I had a seminar. And then now my books is on Amazon now.
If it was 2020, then that dip is actually pretty natural. Remember what I said, write your next book and it will go back up.
It was written, but I was going through my miscarriage. I lost 2 babies.
I'm so sorry. And first of all, I'm like, on a side note, I'm like, before you do anything, are you okay?
I'm mentally okay, but by telling people my story, it's kind of like, my mother hate when I give this scenario, but it's a perfect picture. It's kind of like constipation or diarrhea. Either it flows or it's just stuck. And for me, I would rather it flow and it come out and then I'll be okay versus me trying to act like nothing's wrong, like I'm perfect. But for people, they don't like poop on them, as I say, like the flowing of thoughts and my feelings and my emotions. And then sometimes I just go into these spaces where maybe 3 months or 4 months where I just don't talk to nobody because I'm hurting.
Right.
Went through therapy, got the Black therapist who understood the culturally responsible thing of there's people that aren't legal and doing the right thing. And I'm trying to do right. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to learn how to pivot and help my audience follow me. But at the same time, I'm good when it comes to book smart, but when it comes to social skills and people skills, not my strength. Because I'm military and because I said so was the answer. It's like, why do I have to explain this? But I'm being vulnerable in doing that. But by doing that, people feel that I'm fake because it's not who I usually am. And it does feel awkward.
Can I jump in here? Let me jump in here for a second. What's your first name here? Because I see author, and is it Artesia? How do you say your name?
But I just rather be called Miss Williams because they messed up my name.
Yeah, that's a pretty name though. So what I want to, because I don't want this to run very much long because I do want people to watch it. The longer it gets, to reduce the chance of people watching it. But I'm wondering, because it sounds like you really need some like specific guidance. Like this is not something that's going to be solved within, a 1-hour webinar. Keisha, do you offer, because I know you're a writer and stuff like that, do you do anything like this where you kind of work with people one-on-one with these things, or you do not?
I do. And on my website, klgilchrist.com. If anyone actually is on my homepage, if anybody wants to contact me, I do focus more on like the book type stuff and consulting for books and everything, because I'm not a life coach, not a therapist. I'm a communicator. So I focus mostly on communications.
People you have Miss Williams, because I don't want to mess up your first name. You have a lot going on there. And like I say, it really sounds like it's something that's not going to be resolved within the short time frame.
So she doesn't do the coaching per se, because I have my book's published. I have I have a program where I created to double your sales in a month. So that portion is done. My thing is more towards branding. I made a brand for my book, but not confusing my audience. Because I have a brand and I have a well-known brand. A lot of people, even the mayor has my book and posted it on it. So it's not the branding, it's more of, I guess it's a personal, how to transition from failure. My mother hates when I call it failure, but from falling on my face to picking myself back up.
Yeah, and like I said, I think you kind of need somebody that's going to work with you for an extended period of time, not just, because that's the question that you're asking is a loaded question. It's a lot of moving parts there, and you kind of need somebody that's going to work with you, not just for a few minutes, but continuously throughout your progress to help you kind of refine your brand and what you want to do. But we are kind of running out of time a little bit here. If you want to reach out to me personally, you can message me, which I'm not the speaker for today, but you can. I'm the admin of the group, and if you want to reach out to Keisha and see how she can possibly help you, you can do that. If you're interested in that. But I know some people are jumping off here and leaving. But I just wanted to get any other questions in before we go. Deborah, did you have any other question or you didn't? I did have a couple questions myself before we wrap up.
Okay.
I just wanted Keisha to put her information in the chat.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. Put my website in right now.
That's it. Thank you.
Something that I wanted to mention, and you can tell me if I'm right about this or not, when you were talking about marketing materials, like to have your business card and have you thank you card and things like that, to make sure you have a QR code on those things, because I used to produce those things and I didn't really know very much about QR code. And then you kind of figure how can you get the people back to your website if you're talking to them face to face. So I started putting QR code. I had to reprint everything and put QR codes on there. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, definitely. Hold on. Here's one of my cards. I'm going to get, hope I didn't flash anybody. But yeah, when I have my catalog, I put my QR key because I can't put book descriptions on the thing. So definitely have that code. So you make the front nice and pretty, but your back is always all your info. People should always know your house. I talked about your house, your website, but also your socials. I talked about those three. Your description should always be that QR code there. And they're free to make. I think
they're very easy to make. I thought it was going to be complicated. They're not hard to make at all.
Everybody should have one. I'm glad you brought that up. Like I said, there's a ton of information. It's hard to get it all in there, but definitely QR code.
Now, when you were talking about email addresses, because I have this conversation with my husband as well, you said not to use Yahoo and the free
AOL.
AOL, but you did not mention Gmail, and I do see a lot that professional people.
No, you can use Gmail.
Okay.
Because Google is such a they have a professional suite that they actually sell out, to business owners. So Gmail is not looped in with everybody else. Gmail is off on its own because, like I said, a lot of small businesses use Google for all of their stuff, their Google Docs, their presentations, Google Chat, all of that stuff. So Gmail is not. You can definitely use Gmail.
Okay.
That's professional.
Because I was holding my breath there for a minute.
No. Gmail. Google is seen professionally. So that is, you can definitely.
Okay. And then before you mentioned, it was towards the middle of the beginning of your presentation. Well, I guess it's two questions. So I just learned about Medium recently. And so you were saying that if you're blogging, to make sure you do it on Medium, because now I used to freelance for web design companies. I'm also a content writer and stuff like that. So I do understand the importance of blogging to bring traffic to your website. But you're saying that that's not enough because that might not generate you enough traffic. So can you talk about that a little bit versus blogging for your website and doing it for Medium?
Oh, sure. And actually, the truth is you can do both. So if you have a blog on your website, definitely keep it. But when you're done with your post, copy and paste that joint inside of Medium. And then when you do your bio at the end, put all your information in there, drive them back to your site or drive them to put in, if you have 1 book, 2 books, mention it. But Medium is like a world house. So you want to put that metadata in there that drives people to your article that's inside of Medium. And then at the end of your article, have your website. And if they want to go back to your website, go there. So do it both places.
Yeah. So in your personal experience, Medium definitely generates more traffic for you.
Oh, yeah.
Even for people reading your articles and going back to your website. Okay.
And going back to my website. Oh, yeah. I get book sales there. Or people just comment. People who didn't know you. So you want to expose yourself to as many people as possible.
Exactly.
And let you do it for free.
Okay. Wow. That's great. Great to know. And so the last thing, which I don't fully remember what you said, so maybe you might refresh my memory, but you were talking about making sure you have a separate business account. And you just said you don't want to have your personal finances mixed with your business account, which I understand to a big degree. But at the same time, if you're not really, I guess, making very much money, is it really that necessary to have? Okay, can you tell me why you say that?
Here's the main reason why. And I like saying this because I like people that have money in their pocket. So by establishing yourself with that bank account, and also if you have an LLC, what it does to the US government is it tells them that you are a professional author. That means if you spent $1,000 getting a cover, you write that bad boy off. You
Mm.
spent $1,200 on an editor, you write that off. If you don't have your LLC and your business account and separate, they don't consider it. They'll come
Okay.
after you. They'll be like, whatever. But I mean, you could have, not that I'm saying you should, but check this out. I'm going out to Chicago in like a week to see my husband graduate. See if I don't write the beats to a novella while I'm sitting on that plane and I'm writing off my plane ticket. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You could write anything anywhere. You could write 10 steps to being your best life coach while you're on vacation, Sage. I'm giving you a game here, and write off your plane ticket.
Yeah.
All because you had everything separate.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
basically, make your taxes pay for your author business. Okay. By
Mhm.
having those things established.
Okay.
So, okay. That's
Yeah.
why you want to do it. It's the tax thing. It's
Yeah.
the tax.
Okay. Makes perfect sense. You shut me up.
Donald
So
Trump
thanks.
does it.
Yeah.
We should do it.
Yeah. Wow. So thank you so much. I think we're done. Ready to wrap up. Did you have any last things that you want to say? I do want to talk to you a little bit before you sign off, just so you know. But if you have anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up.
No, if anybody wants to contact me, little tips and tricks. I know when I was doing my massive brain dump, I know there's probably more stuff that I probably haven't totally covered. So if anybody has anything, specific about the stuff that I mentioned, website, the room, tax deductions, all that stuff. I put my email and stuff in there, and email me anytime. I love to support other authors because I always think that we need to be in each other's economy to be able to contact each other later on, be there for each other and say, okay, I'm doing a book. Can you do a blurb? Yeah, I got your blurb. Go ahead. We need to be that for each other.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. Love it. All right. So we'll go ahead and wrap up here. And thank you guys for those people who showed up and also those people who are watching live online. Again, you can watch this video anytime under the features tab. It will be, that's where it will live. And I think that's it. So thank you so much. And I'll stay in contact with you guys and let you know the updates about the group. So thanks again, Deborah, for coming, and Miss Williams, thank you for coming. And make sure you reach out to me or Keisha if you need to about the questions that you were asking. So other than that, see you guys.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
I'm gonna hang out for a minute.
Yeah, so let me stop.
All right.